Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Forgiveness. It's a tough word to stomach there. There's a lot of songs written about it. Please Forgive Me. I believe that was Bryan Adams. There's many different songs. We've talked about why it's important to forgive someone. Last time we got together with her, we're going to call it part 2, forgiving yourself. There's many things that even in a situation where you need to forgive somebody else, maybe you also needed to forgive yourself. How do we do that? How do we move forward with that? Might even be harder than forgiving somebody else. Let's find out. She has a wonderful practice that supports many in all different areas, in all different situations, forgiveness being one of them. And she's our Dime of the Decade. Sherri and Alexandrovich joins us once again on the program. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Is that, some people say that's an oxymoron. Can there be a happy Monday? You know what? You can. It's a state of mind, right?
Absolutely. You know what? We woke up, we're here. What's not to be happy about?
Exactly right. I'm happy you're here because we had a great conversation last time we got together about this whole forgiveness thing. Now, as we look at it, forgiving ourselves, do you believe that there could be many situations where we don't even realize that we haven't forgiven ourselves, but we're stuck in a situation, or something's not right and we haven't even realized that?
For sure. So I think that forgiveness of ourselves is just such a great topic. If we don't kind of look inward and forgive some of the mistakes or the choices or the things that we've done, then it makes it really difficult to effectuate change. And so I think that one of the kind of fundamental things to change is looking inward and seeing what is our role with that, what was our part. Why are we continuing to be in situations that have similar outcomes? And that's typically because there's some inside work that we haven't done. And I know in the past, we've really talked about the shadow work. We've talked about, inward and forward movement and what does personal growth look like? Well, personal growth is kind of a stepping stone to that personal forgiveness. And how do we kind of wake up and take some accountability and be able to have that forward movement and look at things from different perspectives? One of the challenges that I come across personally, but also I think in the substance abuse world, is when we're working with people who have a history of substances, whether they're still actively using or whether they're in recovery, forgiveness for some of the choices that they've made while they've been using is a big variable and contributor to that relapse rate. I've had clients in the past who have made choices to support their habit. And then when they're clean, those are the choices that they really struggle to forgive themselves for. And that's really what kind of perpetuates that constant relapse or that disparaging remarks or that inability to really have that forward movement. And so I think that forgiving oneself is such an important topic because it expands into so many different areas of our life, whether it be substance abuse, whether it be relationships, whether it be parenting.
How do we do it? We're at that point, you're feeling that you're hanging on to something in a situation, whether it's addiction, whether it's a social situation, you're feeling it, that you need to release it, let it go. How do we do that?
Acknowledgement, that's the first step, is acknowledging that something needs to change, whether it be in a decision that we're making, whether it being a situation that we're in, is really acknowledgement and acceptance is the first part of that. And then from there, we can kind of build upon, how do we make amends? How do we make changes? How do we forgive ourselves in the same capacity that we would forgive somebody else? And that's just being kind. One of the things that, one of the sayings that I say pretty frequently with my clients is, we don't wake up every day with the intention to make a mistake or to make a bad choice or to do something that we normally would not have done, right? So if we're not premeditatively waking up every day and making the decision to do something bad, we've made a mistake. So all we can do is make the best decisions that we make with the information that we have today. When we have in this moment, 10 minutes from now, an hour from now, tomorrow, we're going to have different information. But we can't go back and beat ourselves up for a decision that we've made when we didn't have the same information that we have upon this judgment that we're making. So I think that that's really important, that, when we woke up this morning, we didn't wake up and make the decision that today I'm going to make a bad choice. I mean, for the most part, right? That I would say when I talk about this, I'm not really talking about, the sociopaths of this world. I'm talking about the majority of us don't wake up with the intention to make a bad decision or to do something, to get behind the wheel of a car and look down at your phone and something horrible happens, right? Accidents happen. And so having that level of just being kind to ourselves, I think is what is really difficult for a lot of us who have these really high level of expectations. Expectations is another topic I know that we've kind of dabbled with in the past as well.
When you talk about the information, I'm also seeing pictures of somebody in a situation. They know they probably need to forgive themselves, but we change. We're evolving. So that could have happened a couple of years ago and you're still hanging on to something. But like you said, you have different information. You may have changed a little bit. Now you're processing it. You're seeing the situation a little bit differently. Whether there's more responsibility on you or maybe less. And again, if it's a relationship, it takes two. I get that. But you may see it differently and maybe need to revisit it in terms of forgiving one's self. Do you find when we're in those challenging spots that we should write it down, write our feelings down to be able to better process it, because sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow.
It is a hard pill to swallow. And I love journaling. We talked about this last week. That word vomit, I think, is so important for us to be able to just get out what's on our mind and be able to go back and to process it differently. We've all made decisions in our life or choices in our life that, sometimes we wish that we had chosen differently or we had made a different decision to do. So that perseveration is what happens in our mind if we don't get it out and get it onto paper and be able to look at it from all of these different perspectives and do some problem solving. So a lot of the same philosophies that we talked about last week when it comes to forgiving other people are also applicable to ourselves. And that is, write down your pros and your cons list. Why did I make the decision that I made? What's different for me today? And then also having that, that self-kindness to be able to say, 20 years ago, I made a decision to, I was in a relationship with somebody maybe I would not have chosen as my next partner. You're young, you've made that decision based on the situation that you were in. So 20 years later, you've grown, you've evolved, you've done your work. So now you're not in that and you decide you don't want to be in that relationship anymore because you're a different person or it's a toxic relationship, or you have also, or maybe you were the person, you were the perpetrator, you were the one that was, making the bad decisions. How do you get out of something like that? So I think when we talk about forgiveness, we're talking about it multifaceted. We're talking about whether we were the person that was the receiver of the negative or we were the person who were administering the negative. Either way, we're still part of whatever that situation is that's going to elicit the need for forgiveness, whether it's personal or whether it's for somebody else. And that really comes with doing your work. Where does your work start? Acknowledgement, acceptance, writing down, what it is that's going on for you, what it is that you would want to be different. Vision boards. I love vision boards. We do these with our teenagers a lot, or even with our younger kids. Just get this big poster board of paper and get some magazines and just cut out all of the different things that we would want differently for us in our life. That vision board can then be the launching pad to so much conversation moving forward. this is where I want to go with my career. This is where I want to go with my next relationship. And so kids can be so creative when it comes to using art or role play. And to be able to create this vision board, even as adults, right? So I'm sure people have seen, you put on the refrigerator the picture of you in the bathing suit that you want to be wearing, or the picture of, so every time you're opening that refrigerator, you're making a different choice of what it is that you're, to support the diet that you're on, or even the vacation that you want to take, or your next career. What does that look like? Doesn't have to be a huge poster. You can put something on your mirror. You can put a positive affirmation on your wall. You can put something that's going to give you that forward movement, that perspective, that positive outlook to be able to say, I may not have done this the way that I should have, but the what's next, right? That forward movement, I can change that. I can make tomorrow different. I can do all of these wonderful things that I have in my toolbox for coping skills to effectuate change.
You mean the vision board right there on my wall?
Do you have one? Yeah, I love that. See?
So I have to share with you. I'm kind of like chuckling inside. I heard about him for years. I kind of resisted it. I was even on a train visiting my son in college late summer and had a lot of time. Very relaxing. So I started going through my phone and searching for pictures to make a vision board. That was then. I only just made it about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
I'm going to say this. When I turn my head, I can't not look at it. It's almost as if it's like magical, like it's drawing me in.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even added to it. I've written a couple of words that have resonated. Somebody told me if you're going to do a vision board, one thing you might want to consider is these two words, or better. Yes, all those things on there, I feel I deserve. It'll make me a better person and just better for others as well. All of that. But the words or better, because you never know what the universe is going to present. Essentially, many believe what we think becomes our reality. So I'll take that, or better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love vision boards. I love affirmations, positive affirmations. Sometimes when I'm working with my teenagers, they're so tech savvy with their phones that there's these apps that you can download where every day a new positive affirmation shows up on your phone for you, so that when you wake up in the morning, you can program it so that it will just appear. Another thing that I do is Lori Light has these absolutely amazing books when working with little kids. And I've actually used some of them with some of my adults before because they're just so visually robust. And one of the books that she has is called The Affirmation Weaver. And that's one of my favorites. And so what it is it's about a little dolphin in the sea who can't flip and do all of these things that his ocean friends can do. And each page, there's a new affirmation that's added to his net, to his weave. And by the end of it, he has all of these people that are cheering him on and giving him all these positive affirmations. And he's able to accomplish this, this acrobat in the water. And so I would read this to my, to the kiddos, 8, 9, 10-year-old kids. And then after, we would do our own affirmation weave. And so they, I would get like all the ocean stickers and all the different things that kind of go with it. And we'd build this board or this paper and put what is your individual. So, Sherri's the client and she comes in, and what are the things that she needs? And now I know my client that are going to really help her to wake up every day and feel better, or to get past whatever it is that she needs to get past, whether it's self-forgiveness, whether it's forgiving of other people, self-esteem building, creating better boundaries, whatever the topic is. We would individualize this affirmation weave, and then I would have them hang it either on their wall as they're leaving, the doorway above their light switch, or in their bathroom, or wherever they're going to see it every day, as a reminder that they're enough. This too shall pass. These are wonderful things that we have to look forward to. And just because yesterday wasn't a great day doesn't mean that today or tomorrow can't be. We have that opportunity every day we wake up. We have the opportunity to effectuate change. And, I say to my grandson every day when he walks out the door, and he's probably so sick of hearing this at 11, is every day's a new beginning, bud. So yesterday you might have had a bad day at school, or yesterday you might have had, a problem with a kid at recess or on the bus. But today's a new day. Today we get to start over and we get to do something different. We get to make that change. And I think that's something that our youths and sometimes our adults as well, I think really struggle with is they get sucked into this swamp of negativity. And it's really hard to climb their way out of it when they're not getting that positivity from home or from school or from peers. And they become really angry or isolated and then it's really hard for them to come out of it. And then by the time they land in therapy, they're in this hopeless, depressed state that we can really just intercept so much earlier in life if we realize that people just really need you to be kind,
Kind to yourself.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I do a music show on radio. Been doing it forever.
Mm-hmm.
I end every show with "Be kind to yourself and others," because we're not kind to ourselves. And I believe many of us don't realize that we're creating our reality. If you believe in the vision board and manifesting and all of that, so you wake up, you spill some coffee, then you're in that mindset of like, really? Oh, what? That's just the beginning. What else is going to happen today? Well, guess what? It's going to happen, and it's not going to be good because you asked for it. You
Mm-hmm.
essentially you manifested it.
Right, right,
Um,
right. That's the but at least. So, but at least. And so I use that all the time when I'm doing cognitive restructuring
say that again. Say
training.
it again.
But at least. So this might have happened, but at least we have something different. So when I'm working with
Hmm.
changing how our negative thinking can be, I will give an example. So way back, probably about 20 years ago, I used to do a lot of home-based therapy services. I worked a lot with gangs and drugs and youth. And so I was out in my car, I was out on Main Street, and I would go from home to home. So how I made a living was when you see your clients. And there was a time, there was a storm that was happening, and my garage door didn't open. I couldn't get my car out of the garage. So we're talking 20 years ago. Okay, yes, I do understand there's an emergency pull that you could use. In that moment, I didn't realize that, right? So I go downstairs and I used to give this example all the time. I'm going downstairs and I know I've got, 6 or 7 clients scheduled. I can't get out of my garage because I can't get my car out. So, but at least my daughter, who back then was in high school, but at least her car was outside. So I grabbed her car. I'm driving down the road. She doesn't have any gas in her car.
Here we go.
So, but this could have been a very different ending for me. But at least I had money to be able to go to the gas station. So I get to the gas station, I'm able to, put the gas in the car. I'm driving down the road. There's a tree in the road. I mean, I swear to God, this is a true story. I can't get through. I used to live on a backcountry road. It was all dirt. Okay, but at least I have the mindset that I can turn the car around. I can take a different way. End of the story is that there were so many opportunities for me to just say, today's a wash. I'm going to reschedule my clients and really slip into a negative mindset instead of persevering and moving forward and being able to see all of my clients and having a full day because, but at least was my mantra for the day. And
Mm,
that's an important for me. I'm always trying to think about, okay, this might not have folded the way that I wanted it to, or I didn't do this, but at least I can do this, or but at least I can do that. And that's just a different
I
perspective of
love it.
looking at
I
something.
love it. And it that gets me away from this phrase, and I try never to use it. Could be worse. Could be
Right.
worse. What do
Yeah.
you say? It's negative. I
That's
do it all the time. I try not to. No,
right.
but you mean it in a positive way, but
Right.
it's coming from negative. And that phrase that you use, I have another one. Let's say you're going through a challenge. This is,
Mhm.
I don't have enough money for this for now. You
For
add those two
now.
words for
Yeah.
now because
I
it's
like
temporary.
that. Yeah, for now. Yeah, that's another one. I like that. It's very similar to but at least.
Sure.
And it doesn't pigeonhole you into not having an option. because it's expanding into multiple options. That's what I like about that for now. I like that. I'm going to steal that from you.
No, I'm going to steal yours.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
The negativity thing I want to share in just 30 seconds
Yes.
of how energy works. And a lot of this is connected to energy, right? I have an old Jeep, 25 years old. I use it just for kayaking. It's my fun vehicle, right? I feel like a kid driving it. Had some issues with it. It would break down. Like I'm driving, a belt goes. I'm like, and I would be, you piece of like, really? Like, come on! Like now I'm stuck. I gotta get towed. And I would just curse the thing out. Fixed it. Then I flipped it, and I would just, I appreciate you. Thank you for the wonderful day we had.
Right.
I love you. You make me feel good. Like it's just,
Yeah.
you're my happy, junkie vehicle. I don't have to worry about, dings on the side. I don't even lock it. Wouldn't you know it? I haven't had any issues with that in like a year at
See, you're
least.
putting positive energy out there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
Right.
I'm saying. So,
Right.
using that as a loose example to, the
Mhm.
coffee spill, then something else, then something else, then something else. If you keep saying, well, what's going to be next now? That's what's probably going to happen.
Well, because you keep piling up all this negativity and the mountain just becomes so big that you can't climb it. You can't get to it because when you have to kind of look at things one piece at a time or one chunk at a time and break it down into manageable pieces. And that's where those lists come in
Mm.
so that you're breaking things down into accomplishable versus it feeling so overwhelmed that I have 15 things to do today. Don't look at it from that perspective. Look at it from this is what I would like to accomplish and breaking it down into time chunks. I'd like to get this done by then or this done by then. But then having also that flexibility that if something comes up and you're not able to get those 3 check boxes done before 12 o'clock, you have the flexibility to kind of, all right, well, but at least I still have 3 more hours left of my day. Or
Yes.
I can't get this done for now. Another one that I like to use is this too shall pass.
Oh, my mom.
Love that one.
Oh, geez. I'm telling you, Sherri, all the things that my mother used to say, which I'm sure yours said and everybody else's. When I was younger, it'd be like in my mind, I would never say this, but in my mind, and I'm sure my kids do it too, like, shut up, you're old. What do you know? Like, you're just an old
Yeah.
person. And now all those phrases really do make sense. This too
Right.
shall pass. It does. It, like, or she used to say to the same, category there, it'll all work out.
Mhm.
It'll work out. And then
Things are better in the morning.
right. And you're in DEFCON 3, 5, whatever. And you're like, you're going to work out. But it does, even when it comes to money. And I'm going to say here, one of the biggest mistakes I made, maybe not a mistake, a learning lesson, was worrying about money. I would worry like, oh my gosh, when things were fine, I'd be like, what if this? What if that? What if this? Even when things were challenging. And there's always going to be, the ebb and the flow.
Right, right.
I wish I didn't worry because guess what?
Mhm.
It all works out.
Don't borrow trouble.
Don't bother trying.
Don't borrow trouble. I say that all the time. Don't borrow trouble. We can
That's a
put our
good one.
energy into something that just will never unfold. So whenever I find myself getting anxious or amped up about something, I will remind myself, I'm borrowing trouble right now. I'm worrying or preparing for something that may not ever happen. And so
Mhm.
all of that energy and all of that time is
What a
now
waste.
wasted because it didn't happen or it didn't unfold that way or the question didn't get asked that way or whatever the scenario is you're borrowing trouble. So don't do that. Wait
Mhm.
for the moment to come. I'm not saying don't practice your coping skills. I'm not saying don't be mentally prepared, don't have a positive outlook. But don't perseverate on something that may or may not happen because you can put your energy, you're wasting. I mean, if we think about how much time in our life
Yep.
we have wasted worrying about something that either isn't real, hasn't happened, or is never going to happen, can you imagine the amount of time that we would have for
It's
a
so true.
variety of different things in our life? It's crazy.
It's so true. It's almost as if, well, first of all, the future is not here.
Right.
Nobody can predict the future. I don't care who you are.
Right.
You don't know what's going to
No.
happen. We don't really know what's going to happen in the next 5 seconds. We have a pretty good
Correct.
idea, but you don't know for sure. So
Mhm.
why worry about it? And yes, we all get caught up. I had a situation last week where something presented, and I'm like, well, because I've reframed my mindset. 3 minutes later, I'm like, well, that's nothing. Well, that'll be fine. and then just leave. That's it. But we get triggered for a moment. You're like, whoa, wait, whoa.
Oh, absolutely. And that's when, when that alarm goes off, that internal alarm that we're being triggered, that's another whole topic, right? How do we stop ourselves from going down that rabbit hole? Because my God, you fall so fast. And sometimes you just.
Yeah. This is all real. What a great topic. It's so funny. When we started talking about forgiving yourself, before we got on here, I'm like, I don't know if we're going to, a whole half hour about, yes.
I could talk for hours about forgiveness, whether it be with yourself or with other people, and how we can just, I think the key word is be kind. I mean, your intentions should be always kind, and that pay it forward, and treat other people the way that we want to be treated, and just do better every day. Just do better. That's all we can do. We can't change how we acted yesterday, but today we can choose to do better. And that's the best that we can do. Put our face in the sun and smile.
Yeah, but at least.
But at least, right? But at least, right?
Keeping that one, writing that one down. I have a Post-it note. I write things down. I share it with others. So that went on there.
Oh, good. That's a good one. I like that one.
You have a great practice. You help a lot of people with this and so much more. And you're located in Massachusetts, but obviously things can be done virtually to support others. How do we find you?
newbeginningswc.com is our website. We also have a Facebook page. We're located at 1280 Main Street in Worcester.
Always wonderful talking with you, Sherri. I just, this is so important. It really is. People are being stopped and crippled in their mind because they haven't forgiven. And if you're challenged by that, then reach out. Thanks again for being here.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.